Good day, beautiful people. You are welcome once again to your favorite program, our favorite program, The Conversation, coming to you from TV 360 here in Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Nelson Ekujimi, and I have here with me the studio Richard Adeyinka Emmanuel, the CEO, Data Home Research and Communications Limited. Baba Richie, thank you for joining us today.
Good to be here.
Yes, on The Conversation, like we all know, is the topical issues program that looked at happenings in Nigeria and in diaspora. And on The Conversation, like we always say, there is no host. We are both having a conversation, so we all have a right to our views. We can disagree and we can agree on the issues. Well, top of the bill today, we want to look at the House of Representatives is mulling the idea of a compulsory voting for Nigerians. And as I think the bill has gone through second reading. And from my own point of view, that is a needless and wasteful exercise. That is the least of the problems, bedeviling the Nigerian state. As much as I recognize that at times, like our people say, in Yoruba language, they say, "Waku walaman wakanto son." I have a cousin whose car was stolen. He went to a party, and when the car was stolen and the guy came out, he couldn't find the car. He said he was opening culverts, looking at the car, whether the car was inside. That is how. So maybe the intensity of the anger that our people are not coming out to vote, the voting population is shrinking.
It was shrink more.
Maybe that is what has propelled this idea. But
have said it.
I can tell you for free. This idea of compulsory vote, even in the Latin American countries where it is made compulsory, they hardly fulfill it. In fact, I looked at the statistics. They hardly get more than 74%. So what are we saying? The idea of compulsory voting by Nigerians, or they will go to prison for 6 months.
See, the whole thing. I will give you one or two examples. Recently, Mrs. Jonathan, Mrs. Patient Jonathan, yes, said she will support
the
incumbent to campaign for her husband, that they were friends, that her husband had been supporting the family and all that. Who would have thought about that until the woman said so? I'm sure if anybody was asked before then that what is the relationship between the Jonathan family and Tinubu family, they will say lie, they will never see eyeball to eyeball. Look at Professor Adeyeye when he came on air, on the national TV, talking about how President Tinubu helped Emefiele to become CBN governor. Yeah. Look at Buba Galadima.
Look at what Emefiele turned out to be for
Look at Buba Galadima, how President Tinubu employed his children. I look at the one that is making noise from Borno.
Senator,
what was his name?
Ndume
and all that. See, the reality is that Nigerians are becoming more and more aware that it does not really matter whether someone is in APC or someone is in PDP. If you vote someone because it's in PDP, the next morning after receiving your power, it goes back to APC. You vote for someone because he is in APC. Somehow, after winning, it goes back to PDP. So it is like you have Chief Bola Ige called Abacha's party. Five of leprous hand. What we have now is that all our political parties, they are children of the same family. If you vote for one person, it does not matter.
How do you say,
why
do you say that?
Are they not the same? Are they not the campaign? Are they not
but that does not make them the same. They have different identity.
They are the same. They are the same.
No, I disagree.
But the party democracy we are practicing now is such that they just use it as a means of division. Omo Igbo, we have one shop, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will put different people there, and all of them, they remit money at the end of the day. So is the owner of the. So the owner of now the north west leaders of
APC.
They said they have endorsed President Tinubu. Even one of them will say no force on earth. If no force on earth, including votes, including
no. That is a political statement, Richard.
No, see,
I disagree.
That is until he clarifies what he meant.
Okay,
he has not clarified.
Richard, how about somebody that said we are going to rule for 60 years? What happened?
See, that one is still not as definite as the statement that. Don't forget that Ganduje had already said there is nothing wrong with one party.
He's the chairman of a party, for crying out loud.
I agree completely with him.
Yes.
I agree completely with him. He's a party. Yes. He should defend his party.
Yes.
However, all of those things are just unraveling that these people, they belong to one family.
No, I disagree.
If you vote, those that voted for this man, House of Rep, Letiosa, this Kogi boy.
The young man.
What has he done? No.
That is for the constituents to ask him.
Why don't you? So it's as good as you voted
People
for him.
People who voted for him, they knew why they voted for
They
him.
did because they didn't want APC.
No, you don't. You can't say.
No, of course the macaroni and
Richard, their choice of vote. You know why people go to the polls differs from one person to the other. Somebody can tell you that, oh, I love that man. If the man does
not because don't forget that they have voted against their own person, Banky W, before they realize that what did we do?
Richard, did they carry out a survey?
No. But they realized
those were snippets of
they could have.
Those were snippets of the lamentation of some of the voters.
The arrowheads.
Are you telling me the arrowheads, those who had the opportunity of speaking to the press, controls the mind of others?
The reason they voted for the guy.
How come some people go to the poll and they end up competing
the reason they voted for the guy was because he was in Labour.
Yes.
They didn't say, no APC, we are going to vote for Labour. You have voted for Labour, and the Labour man is not showing anything different, anything opposition to APC. No bill from him, no nothing about his constituency. That is what we are saying. Look at Sheriff. The only thing that can give confidence back to Nigerians about our democracy is for the court to say, if you want to decamp, drop that mandate.
That is not for the court.
No.
It's for you to go and amend your laws.
No, you see,
wait, Richard, let us get one thing clear. The role of the media is to educate.
Yes.
Under our laws.
Yes.
If the law says you can decamp if your party is in crisis.
And if it is not in crisis, you also can decamp.
If it is not in crisis, if you decamp, it is for the implementers, the enforcers of the law. For example, the law does not envisage a governor defecting. The law only envisages.
It also does not envisage that a speaker, because it says it is the speaker that will confirm.
Yes.
But it also does not envisage that there will be a situation whereby both the speaker and the other will decamp.
And that is why we say the man was not made for the law. But the law for it means once we have seen this pattern and we know it's not good for our democracy, it's for us to begin an advocacy that look, we need to amend this law.
So maybe we should begin the advocacy.
And under our law, if the speaker does not do that, a member of the house can go to the court and get an order.
Remove all of that. See, if I'm voting for you because you are in PDP, if you want to,
we are not talking about defection.
No,
we are talking about compulsory voting. Don't let us do
yes, that Yes, it's an offshoot of that. That what we make people, what politicians are doing now,
We discourage
does
people.
not give confidence in our election. Because why won't you be tired? If you are from Delta, for instance, you have voted for someone because he was in PDP, and overnight he moved and say, I'm going to APC. So that thing, the implication is that you do not have that confidence anymore to say, after all, if I could vote for another person, the person too will behave the same way. So
Yeah,
you
what
won't
you are
trust
saying,
anybody.
is that this defection is a drawback on our democracy.
It is.
That it will make the voter be disinterested.
The voter
in
party
going
that
to
you
the
will see
polls.
in 2027 will be, every year, every election cycle.
But the
we have
reduction.
reduction.
The shrinking of the voters, the shrinking of the voting population can also be adduced to the deployment of technology. You remember? Just a minute, Richard. You remember in the days of the Morisuwu of this world, where 500 will register to vote in a particular polling station, and 520 will end up voting.
Yes.
The moment INEC introduced card reader and PVC, we now saw a situation whereby voting population of 500 in some polling stations, they could not even muster 100.
Yes.
So again, we might have to say, let us even go and clean up the register to know those who are still alive.
We have used the card reader for 4 election cycles.
No, I think we used it in 2011,
2015, 2019,
yes.
2023.
No, Beavers in 2019.
Beavers came in 2023.
Yes.
So we have technology, but that should not diminish, because if you look at the number of people that voted in 2011 when it was introduced, by the time it got to 2015, the number reduced.
No, it wasn't introduced in 2011. It was introduced in 2015, the card reader.
The guy introduced
in 2015.
Introduced. We didn't use, because I remember that he failed him.
We used it in 2011. And we used it in 2015.
We also used it in 2015, 2019. So what we are saying is that if you registered 93 million people using that card reader, the normal the technology that was introduced, somehow, if people have confidence, you should have, for half of that, 45 million that will say, I want to go and vote. At least
or maybe
half.
30 million.
Or even 30.
Because all over the world, the highest voting population is always about 30, 35. You hardly get 40.
So, let's say in our own case, now let's get 30
Let us
million.
even get 35.
Well, we should. There is nothing that stops us from having 35,
or even
40 million.
40%, yes.
Nothing stops us from having
I
it.
agree.
What will happen is performance of the
public office holders, yes.
So that performance, they must, if they want people to vote, if they want to show up that number, it is for them to change that attitude. That's their behavior while in office. That is what we give, just like stock exchange. If you ask them what determines the value of stocks, you won't see anything tangible. It's usually intangible things, like the confidence in the management
government
of
policy,
government policy, and all of those.
Yeah.
So if you want people to have confidence in our electoral process, that will make them to say, even when it is, I will go and vote.
You know, it reminded me of an election in 2014, the election that brought in Ralph Aregbesola for a second term. And we're doing a survey of the voters then. Then President Goodluck Jonathan was in office, and they stormed Osun State with soldiers, DSS, Air Force. They brought rocket launchers. And we went to some people and we were asking them, with all these instruments of violence that they are displaying, DSS will come out in the street and they will shoot into the air just to scare people. People told us that if they like, let them put lion at the polling station, that will come there. I think going forward, I think our public office holders need to start, they should recognize that our House of Representatives members, most especially who are mulling this idea of compulsory voting, they should recognize that it is not about forcing people to come and
At
vote.
all. It
It's
won't
about
even
it's
work.
about engagements that will endear them to the
Yes.
electoral process.
Yes.
There are so many factors responsible for our people staying away from the polls.
Yeah.
But those are issues you look at another day. Well, thank you very much, Richard, for your submission so far.
Pleasure.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is how far I want to go on this topic. We'll go in on a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned to the conversation on TV 360. We'll be right back.